What's going on, guys? Brandon again, and today I'm bringing you a brand new War Thunder video. And today we're taking a look at the German variant of the MIG-15bis. This is kind of a follow-up video to my F-86A5 video that I brought to you guys just the other day. So I taught you guys how to counter the MIG-15 in the F-86, but now I'm going to show you how to counter the F-86 in the MIG-15bis. So just recapping what we talked about in the F-86 video, the MiG-15 has a 137mm cannon with 40 rounds of ammunition and two 23mm cannons with 160 rounds of ammunition, compared to the F-86A5, which has 6 M3 Browning machine guns with 1800 rounds of ammunition. Now, like I said in my last video, I would rather take the F-86A5 out into combat because of its ammunition count. You have to be very careful of the MiG-15bis because if you let those cannons rip, the ammunition count is going to dwindle and it will go fast. So make sure that you're very conservative with your shots. And the kill that I just achieved right there was a very good example. I didn't shoot my cannons until I got a proper line of sight on the F-86, and then I finally let the cannons rip. I couldn't save my teammate in time, but at least I ended up getting the kill. Now, when we're comparing the MiG-15bis to the F-86 Sabre in terms of maneuverability, speed, and climb rate, the MiG-15bis has the F-86 Sabre in speed and rate of climb. However, the F-86 Sabre does have the MiG-15 in maneuverability. So now that we recap the characteristics of these planes, let's go ahead and move on to the tactics section of this video. So everything that I taught you guys about scissoring in the F-86, forget about doing that in the MiG-15. There are certain situations where you can force a scissor maneuver in the MiG-15, but I highly don't recommend it. The area that the MiG-15bis excels in is achieving the height advantage over the F-86. And I really want you guys to pay attention to this portion of the video. As you can see, I'm getting above the F-86 that I'm dogfighting here, and I'm getting just out of his range so I disappear from his targeting. That way I can circle around from behind him and hit him from behind. However, I missed both of these attempts. I really should have had him. However, I just couldn't manage to land my shots. So what I really want you guys to focus on is learning how to get above the F-86 Sabres. It should be pretty easy in the MiG-15s. Then practice on learning boom and zooming style tactics. This will really benefit you in the long run for using the MiG-15bis. Now, the opponent that I'm currently dogfighting with is perfectly using the maneuverability of his F-86 to get away from me and maneuver out of my boom and zooming style tactics. So what I'm going to now do is force the scissor maneuver in the MiG-15. Like I said, I don't recommend it, but you can force the scissor maneuver. This is where things become quite tricky because, as I said before, the F-86 does have the maneuverability over the MiG-15. And just remember, guys, air brakes are your best friend. Do not forget those little guys. I end up overshooting the F-86 here, but I managed to throw on the air brakes and use them throughout this maneuver. I do believe that the MiG-15 has excellent energy retention, and I think that's where people tend to screw up when using the MiG-15 in a scissor maneuver. Now, I do manage to somewhat get behind the Sabre, and I accidentally dropped my landing gear. Do not do that. That was a complete accident. I don't recommend doing that. You might rip him off. Now, he does a wide little scissor here, and I'm almost getting ready to clip him, and that landing gear drop might have actually helped me, but I'm managing to get behind him in this maneuver because he's not properly using the throttle control of the F-86. And right here you can finally tell that he gained some airspeed back to complete his maneuvers. Then he finally crosses over, rolls his plane over, but I complete the scissor maneuver and my shots land and he ends up getting shot down. Now, that wasn't the greatest example of a scissor maneuver, however I made do with what I had. So I just want you guys to make sure that you're very careful when implementing a scissor maneuver in the MiG-15. Luckily, that guy wasn't very skilled with this F-86 and I managed to outfly him in the scissor maneuver and finally shoot him down. Also, on another note that I wanted you guys to pay attention to, I didn't go for that Canberra that was on the runway. I just didn't see a use for circling back around and risk getting shot down by AAA. I can't tell you guys the amount of times I've seen people go back to a runway to try to shoot somebody down and end up getting themselves killed in the process. If it's a plane like a Canberra that can wait and he's just not sitting on the runway waiting to jump out of his plane, then sure, go ahead and get him while he's taking off. But just make sure that you just don't linger around the airfield for too long and end up getting yourself killed in the process. Now, anyway, going back to the video, as you can see, I'm achieving height advantage over this F-86 again. However, he's in the process of running. He's getting chased by the German variant of the F-86. So I decided to join in the chase and see what we can accomplish. Now this is a very good example of where the MIG-15 speed comes into play. I had a very good distance between the Saber and I, however look at how fast I'm catching him. I managed to get down from that height and really get down low and get this thing booking. Now by this point in the battle, I was becoming very weary of my ammo count. I was constantly checking it because I remembered back to my other video that I ran out of ammo and all I needed to do was shoot down that last guy and I would have won the battle. So as I started to inch my way closer and closer to this guy, I was making sure that I wasn't going to spray and pray, and I was going to really conservatively shoot my cannons. What I want you guys to focus on now is watch my speed. I am going really fast in this MiG-15, and so is that Saber. I'm starting to slowly catch him, but I know this guy is going to bust a maneuver out of nowhere in the next few seconds because he's got two guys breathing down his neck. So watch this guy's maneuver. He banks hard left, he banks hard right, and I just overshoot this guy by a mile. I was impressed at how he pulled that maneuver. So it really goes to show the durability of the Saber and how it can maneuver at high speeds. Now what do I do to counter this? I end up climbing really high so I can achieve the height advantage on him once again. This gives me a lot of breathing room so I can dive in on him at any time. Now I really want you guys to pay attention to what this guy is doing. He's trying to pull a really tight maneuver, a really tight turn, so he can try to get me to slam into the ground, and it just about works. I was going at a really high rate of speed and I just about didn't pull up from that. So you really got to be cautious of those type of maneuvers that people try to pull on you. I perform them a lot and it ends up becoming very effective once you learn how to accomplish this maneuver. Now this is where the F-86 ends up screwing up. I could have sealed my own fate by flying straight and then he would have gotten right behind me. However, I used the advantage of the MiG-15 by quickly outclimbing the F-86, which sets my friendly F-86 for a line of sight up on the opponent, and he ends up criticalling him. Now all I have to do is seal the deal by pulling around and achieving a line of sight on the enemy. And that's exactly what I do. I guess you can somewhat call this a kill jack. He was in a flat spin, however he did end up recovering, so that is why I followed through with the attack and ended up chasing him all the way down. I used my speed to catch up with him, and all I have to do is seal the deal by firing my cannons, and there is the shot that took him down. But anyway guys, I think that pretty much sums up this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, then please leave them down in the comments below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I know that Korea event is going on, so I hope my Saber video and the MiG-15 video help you guys out. And if you guys have any requests, then please leave them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. My name's Brandon, and as always, have a nice day.